The rain-slicked alley behind O'Malley's bar reeked of stale beer and regret. But Jax Harlan didn't notice as the bottle shattered against his temple, exploding stars across his vision. Faggot. His father's voice snarled like a chainsaw through the downpour. The word laced with the same venom that had poisoned their Thanksgiving dinner just hours before. Jax hit the pavement hard, tasting blood and the bitter irony of a family holiday turned execution. His own unspoken coming out now a death sentence in the heart of small-town Ohio. Jax's world didn't end that night, but it cracked wide open, spilling out the boy he'd been and leaving a man forged in the fire of rejection. He was 18, fresh out of high school in Millersburg, Ohio, where cornfields stretched like judgmental fingers toward the sky, and secrets were currency rarer than cash. The Harlan family had money, not Rockefeller rich, but enough from his grandfather's old logging business to keep the roof over their heads and the fridge stocked with Bud Light. Grandpa Harlan had built Harlan Timber from nothing after World War II, turning felled oaks into empires of furniture and exports, but by Jax's time it was a sleepy operation run by his dad, Earl, who preferred barking orders at underpaid loggers over innovating. That Thanksgiving, Jax had cracked. His mom, Linda, had cornered him in the kitchen while basting the turkey, her floral apron smeared with grease. "You got a girl yet, Jackson? Time's a-wastin'." Her eyes, soft with the hope of grandbabies, pinned him like a butterfly to corkboard. He'd mumbled something about focusing on college apps, but the lie stuck in his throat like dry cornbread. Later, at the table, with Uncle Ray's racist jokes bouncing off the walls and his little sister Mia giggling obliviously, Jax had snapped. "I'm gay, okay? That's why there's no girl." The fork clattered first, his dad's. Then the chair scraped back like nails on a coffin lid. "What the hell did you just say?" Earl's face purpled, veins bulging like roots under sod. Linda gasped, hand to her mouth, as if he'd confessed to murder. Mia froze, her 7-year-old eyes wide as saucers. The room spun into silence, broken only by the tick of the mantel clock. Then Earl exploded. "Get out. You're no son of mine. Not under this roof." Jax grabbed his jacket, heart hammering a war drum in his chest. He made it to the door before the bottle flew. Some heirloom crystal his mom cherished, now a weapon of disownment. It caught him just above the ear, and down he went, the world blurring into rain and recriminations. "Don't come back, you pervert. We're done." He woke in the ER, stitched up and alone. The cops had found him after a passerby called it in. Some trucker who'd mistaken the scene for a mugging. Jax gave them a story about slipping on ice. Pride was the last luxury he could afford. By dawn, he was discharged with a bandage, a bottle of painkillers, and a bus ticket to anywhere but here. He texted Mia one last time. "Love you, kiddo. Be brave." Her reply was a single emoji heart, but it burned like goodbye. Columbus was his first stop, a Greyhound dropping him in the Buckeye State's capital under a sky heavy with promise. He crashed on a cousin's couch for a week. Distant kin who didn't ask questions, just handed him a Pabst and a job lead at a warehouse. Jax loaded trucks by day, muscles hardening under the strain, and by night, he haunted the gay bars on High Street, chasing flickers of connection in strobe lights and synth beats. The first guy who bought him a drink was a college kid named Tyler, all freckles and fumbling hands. They made out in a bathroom stall, Tyler's breath hot against Jax's neck, whispering, "You're safe here." But safe was a lie. Tyler ghosted him after a weekend, off to spring break with his brothers. Jax learned fast. Trust was a currency he couldn't spend. Months blurred into a grind. He enrolled at Ohio State part-time, majoring in business because Grandpa Harlan's ghost whispered in his dreams. "Build something, boy. Don't let them break you." Tuition came from scholarships and side gigs. Bartending at a dive called the Rusty Nail, where drag queens held court and tips flowed like cheap whiskey. That's where he met Luca Moretti, a wiry Italian-American with eyes like espresso and a laugh that cut through the din like sunlight. Luca was 22, studying graphic design, slinging drinks to pay for ink and canvases. He had a tattoo of the Leaning Tower snaking up his forearm, inked during a rebellious summer in Pisa. "You're too pretty to be hauling crates," Luca teased on Jax's first shift. sliding him a rum and coke with a wink. "Stick with me, Harlan. I'll show you the ropes." Ropes turned to nights tangled in Luca's tiny apartment off campus. Sheets rumpled and hearts tentative. Luca was fire. Passionate rants about art and injustice. Hands that sketched Jax's profile in charcoal while he slept. "You're a survivor," Luca murmured one dawn, tracing the scar on Jax's temple. "Like those old-growth trees your family cuts down. Unbreakable." Jax fell hard, the kind of love that feels like coming home after exile. They dreamed big, Luca illustrating book covers, Jax revitalizing Harlan timber into sustainable exports. "We'll make it green," Jax said, sketching logos on napkins. "Eco-luxury furniture for the coastal elites." But Ohio winters bit deep, and so did doubt. Jax's calls to Millersburg went unanswered. Mia's texts dwindled to school updates, laced with "Mom and Dad miss you but." One night, after a shift where a drunk straight guy slurred slurs at the bar, Jax broke down in Luca's arms. "They threw me away like trash. What if I'm just broken?" Luca held him fierce. "Nah, amore. You're gold. They were blind." Spring brought change. Jax aced his finals, landed an internship at a Columbus logistics firm. Luca's portfolio show was a hit. His piece on queer resilience sold to a gallery in Chicago. They celebrated with cheap Chianti and promises. "New York next. The city's got our names on it." Jax nodded, tasting futures in the wine's tang. But as they packed boxes that summer, a letter arrived. Yellowed envelope, postmarked Millersburg. It was from a lawyer. Grandpa Harlan had died 6 months back. Silent stroke in his sleep. The will. Harlan timber, lock, stock, and sawmill, to his grandson Jackson Harlan. No caveats, no family vote. Earl got the house. Linda the savings. Jax stared at the papers, hands shaking. "Holy shit," Luca hooped, pulling him into a spin. "You're the boss now. Empire's yours, baby." The drive back was a gauntlet. Ohio's flatlands mocked him, billboards for megachurches preaching love's fine print. Millersburg loomed like a bad dream, the Harlan homestead a faded Victorian with peeling paint. Earl answered the door, face carved from granite. "What the hell you want?" No hug, no welcome. Linda hovered behind, eyes red-rimmed. Mia peeking from the stairs like a ghost. "I'm here for the business," Jax said, voice steady as rebar. "Grandpa's will." Earl snorted. That old fool. Thought he could play kingmaker from the grave. Inside, the lawyer droned legalese. Full ownership, effective immediately. Jax signed, the pen heavy as fate. As he rose, Earl grabbed his arm hard. "This ain't over, boy. Blood don't lie. You think a piece of paper erases what you are." Jax yanked free, scar throbbing. "Blood? You spilled mine first." He walked out, Luca waiting in the truck, engine humming like escape. Back in Columbus, the weight settled. Harlan Timber, $2.3 million valuation, 47 employees, contracts drying up in the eco-reckoning. Jax dove in, commuting weekends, firing up the dusty office in Millersburg. Luca designed a rebrand, Harlan Heritage, sustainable woods sourced ethically, pieces for urban lofts. Orders trickled. A boutique in Cleveland, then a catalog spread. But shadows lengthened. Whispers in town. Harlan's queer boy talking over. Sabotage started small. Tires slashed, emails hacked. Jax ignored it, focused on Luca's warmth. Their nights mapping stars on Columbus ceilings. "We're unstoppable," Luca said, fingers laced. Jax believed him until the first betrayal knife twisted. It came via email, anonymous. Photos of Luca at a campus party, arm around a blonde sorority girl. Staged? No, time-stamped last month, when Jax was buried in audits. Caption: "Your boy's playing both sides. Ask him." Heart in throat, Jax confronted. Luca paled. "It's nothing, Jax. Old habit from the closet days. She's just a friend." Liar. The word echoed his father's. Luca begged, tears streaking. "I love you. This city's poison. Let's go to New York now." But trust fractured like glass under boot. Jax packed alone, selling his share of the apartment. "Fix yourself first," he said, door clicking shut like a guillotine. New York swallowed him whole, neon veins pulsing from Penn Station to Chelsea's cobbled streets. He sublet a walk-up in Hell's Kitchen. Walls thin as promises, view of fire escapes dripping ambition. Harlan Timber shipped its first NYC order. Walnut desks for a Soho startup, $50,000 wire transfer lighting Jax's veins like heroin. He hired a manager in Millersburg, Ruth, a no-nonsense widow with a logger's grit and zero tolerance for bullshit. "We'll make it roar, kid," she vowed over Zoom. The city was a bomb and a bruise. Jax haunted the Stonewall Inn, nursing Manhattans amid ghosts of riots past. Romance flickered. A architect named Theo, all suits and sarcasm, but fizzled when Theo ghosted after a weekend. "Too intense," the text read. Jax laughed bitter. Intensity was his inheritance. Then came the call from Mia, 16 now, voice cracking over static. "Jax? I need you. Dad's drinking bad. The business. Folks say it's cursed 'cause of you." He booked a flight, gut churning. Millersburg in autumn. Leaves bleeding red, air crisp with accusation. Mia hugged him fierce at the bus stop, taller, fiercer. "I came out too," she whispered. "Bye." They freaked. Rage boiled. At the house, Earl slouched in his recliner, bottle in fist. "What, savior complex now?" Jax ignored him, bundling Mia into his rental car. "You're coming with me. New York's got room." She nodded, tears carving rivers. But as they fled, headlights flared in the rearview. Earl's truck, swerving reckless. "Pull over," the bullhorn blared. Jax floored it, heart slamming. The chase ended at the county line, sirens wailing. Earl dragged out, cuffed and cursing. "Thief, that's my blood money." Court came swift. Restraining order, custody to Jax pending eval. Linda testified tearful. "He ain't right in the head since the old man died." Jax spoke last, voice steel. "You abandoned us both. For what? Pride." The judge ruled for Mia. Jax became guardian. Empire be damned. Back in NYC, Sister settled in his apartment, high school online, dreams of Broadway. Harlan boomed. TED Talk invite, Forbes blurb. The queer lumberjack reinventing Rust Belt. Luca emailed apology. Blocked unread. Life stitched forward. Threads of family frayed but mending. Yet winter whispered warnings. Anonymous letters piled. Blood will have blood. Jax shrugged them off. Until the warehouse fire arson. Investigators said. Flames licked the night sky over Millersburg, devouring prototypes worth millions. Ruth called sobbing. "It's gone, Jax. All of it." He flew out, ash raining like confetti from hell. Fire marshal. Accelerant. Deliberate. Suspect? Earl Harlan out on bail, prints on the can. Betrayal's second strike. Deeper than Luca's. In the smoldering ruins, Jax knelt, sifting charred wood. "Grandpa," he whispered. "What now?" The answer came not in flames, but in a stranger's hand, extended from the shadows. The hand belonged to Elias Voss, a venture capitalist with silver at his temples and eyes sharp as Manhattan glass. He was there scouting opportunities. Or so he claimed, black coat dusted with soot as he pulled Jax to his feet amid the wreckage. "Harlan heritage," Elias said, voice smooth as aged bourbon. "I've been watching. Tragic, this. But empires rise from ashes, literally." Jax wiped grime from his face, suspicion coiling like smoke. "Who the hell are you?" Elias smiled, wolfish, handing over a card embossed with Voss Capital Partners. $500 million under management, per the fine print. Potential partner. Your story's got legs. Sustainable? Queer-led? It's catnip for ESG funds. They talked then, over coffee in a diner reeking of grease and ghosts. Elias sketching a Phoenix plan. Insurance payout seeds a Brooklyn showroom, supply chain to Pacific Northwest hardwoods. You're not just selling wood, Jax. You're selling redemption. Redemption. The word hooked deep. Elias was 52, divorced, with a penthouse in Tribeca and a habit of collecting strays, startups, artists, lost boys like Jax. Their meetings blurred professional into personal. Dinners at Le Bernardin, where Elias dissected boardroom battles over foie gras. Walks in Washington Square, his arm brushing Jax's in casual code. "I see you," Elias said one night, under jazz spilling from a village club. "The fire in you reminds me of me, before the suits tamed it." Jax resisted at first. Elias was old enough to be his dad, world-weary where he was wildfire. But the man listened, really listened. When Jax spilled about Earl's rage, Luca's lie, Mia's quiet courage. "Family's a blade," Elias murmured, thumb tracing Jax's knuckles. "Cuts both ways." Their first kiss happened rain-slicked outside Elias's building, tentative, then torrent. Elias's lips firm, tasting of scotch and second chances. "Stay," he whispered, hand cupping Jax's jaw. "Let me show you power." Power seduced. Voss Capital injected $10 million. Harlan Heritage relaunched with fanfare. A pop-up in Chelsea Market. Influencers cooing over reclaimed benches. Mia thrived, auditioning for Off-Broadway. Her laughter filling the apartment like light. Jax moved into Elias's penthouse, Hudson views framing their mornings. Coffee black, ambitions bolder. Elias mentored ruthless negotiation seminars, TED script tweaks. "Own the room, Harlan. You're the heir they never saw coming." Nights wove intimate. Elias's fingers mapping Jax's scars, stories traded in the dark. Elias confessed his own ghosts. A closeted youth in 80s Boston, beaten for a furtive glance. A marriage of convenience shattered by AIDS-era grief. "I built walls," he said, voice raw. You're tearing mine down." Love bloomed slow, roots delving deep. Romantic gestures like surprise weekends in the Hamptons, where they walked beaches hand in hidden hand. Waves whispering absolution. But conflict brewed in the heartland. Earl's trial loomed. Arson, attempted extortion. Jax testified, voice echoing in the Millersburg courthouse like Judgment Day. He wanted the company back. Said it was his birthright, stolen by a pervert. Earl glared from the dock, unrepentant. "Boy's a disgrace. Runnin' that fairy factory." The jury convicted 10 years minimum. Linda collapsed in the gallery, Mia turning away. "It's over," Jax told her later, over diner pie. "We rebuild without them." Not quite. Whispers of appeal, backed by conservative donors sniffing a culture war win. Media swarmed. Fox segments decrying woke timber. Protesters at the Brooklyn launch chaining themselves to displays. Jax faced them down, megaphone in hand. "This isn't about politics. It's about family, chosen, fought for." Claps rippled, but online vitriol surged. Death threats, doxing Mia's school. Elias shielded, lawyers swarming like hawks. "Let me handle," he urged, but Jax chafed. Empire his, burdens too. Romance strained under spotlights. Elias withdrew into calls, Jax into work. One night, argument flared over paella in the dining room. City lights mocking their fracture. "You're shutting me out," Jax accused. Elias sighed, weary. "Protecting you, love. This world's fangs are sharp." Betrayal's shadow lengthened. A Voss intern leaked docs. Elias's firm had shorted Harlan stock pre-fire, profiting on the dip. Coincidence? Elias swore, but doubt festered like gangrene. Jax hired PIs. Emails surfaced, Elias tipping off Earl's cronies about shipments, softening targets for sabotage. Leverage, the notes read. Push him to sell. Confrontation erupted in the penthouse, thunder rumbling over the river. Jax hurled the printouts. "You played me?" From day one. Elias paled, backing against bookshelves groaning with first editions. "It was business, Jax. You were vulnerable, perfect mark. But then, you happened." The admission hung a guillotine blade. Jax laughed, hollow. "Love as merger. Classic American dream." He stormed out, elevator plummeting like his heart. Mia found him at dawn on a bench in Bryant Park, soaked and shattered. "What now?" she asked, hot chocolate steaming between them. Jax stared at the library lions, stone guardians. We fight solo. Always have. Rebuild solo. Jax bootstrapped. Crowdsourcing from queer creators, pivoting to urban farms, modular greenhouses from recycled lumber. Orders flooded. Co-ops in Brooklyn, nonprofits in Detroit. Forbes revisited. Phoenix rises. Anew. But Elias haunted, voicemails pleading. Flowers at the door. I was wrong. Let me make it right. Temptation gnawed. A gala for sustainable biz. Elias cornered him by the bar, tucks sharp as regret. One dance, he begged. The floor spun them close, strings swelling like sobs. I fell for the man, not the mark, Elias breathed. Jax pulled away, resolve cracking. Too late. Trust's ash now. Climax brewed in Millersburg, of all places. Appeal hearing. Earl free on technicality bought by Voss proxies. He ambushed Jax at the mill, rebuilt, gleaming under solar arrays. Give it up, son, or I burn it again. Fistfight in the sawdust. Jax dodging haymakers, landing one to Earl's gut. Not your son. Never again. Sirens wailed. Earl cuffed anew. But as Jax slumped against a lathe, bloodied lip, a figure emerged from the office shadows. Luca, older, eyes haunted. Heard about the fire. Came to help. Truth spilled. Luca's betrayal, a setup by his ex-roommate, jealous hack. Clean now, sober, designing for NGOs. I never stopped loving you. Triple betrayals echo, but Jax's heart, tempered, held. Water under the bridge, he said, clapping Luca's shoulder. Friends, maybe. They shared a beer in the new break room. Mia joining via video, laughing at old war stories. Elias arrived last, helicopter whirring distant. He knelt in the dirt, ring box open, sapphire, empire cut. Marry the mess, he said. Jax hesitated, winds shifting. Forgiveness or flight? The proposal hung in the balance like a felled oak, teetering before the crash. Jax's pulse thrummed with the mill's distant hum. Conveyors whispering of rebirth, not ruin. Elias on one knee, silver hair tousled by the updraft, looked every inch the mogul unmoored. Ty Askew, eyes pleading a lifetime's worth of sorry. Luca shifted awkward nearby, thumbing his phone like a lifeline, while Mia's face glowed on the screen, propped on a crate, her grin a beacon. Say yes, bro? Or nah? Drama's my jam. But this is peak. Jax exhaled slow, tasting sawdust and salt. Tears or sweat, he couldn't tell. The ring caught sunlight, fracturing blue fire across calloused hands. Memories collided. Elias's laugh over lobster rolls in Maine, his quiet vigils during Mia's appendectomy last spring. The cold calculus of those leaked emails, profit over pulse. You gutted me, Jax said, voice gravel. Twice. Once with lies. Once with leaving me to bleed. Elias rose, box snapping shut like a vow sealed. I know. God, I know. But empires aren't built on perfection, Jax. They're forged in the fractures. You taught me that. His hand hovered, then dropped, respecting the space Jax carved. Luca cleared his throat. I'll give you space. Coffee run. He vanished toward town, tail lights fading like old flames. Alone but not, Jax paced the yard, gravel crunching confessions. Mia's voice crackled. He's a dick. But he's your dick. Heart wants what it wants. Kid wisdom, sharp as splinter. Jax pocketed the ring, uncommitted. Come home, me. We'll talk. New York welcomed back with autumn bite. Leaves carpeting Central Park in gold. Vendors hawking chestnuts like talismans. The penthouse felt vast without Elias's clutter. Half-read economist stacks. Vintage scotch decanted for two. Jax bunkered in work. Harlan's Brooklyn flagship a hive. Artisans carving live-edge tables. Interns buzzing with app ideas for carbon tracking. Revenue hit $15 mil. Projections soaring. You're a force, Ruth crowed over quarterly call. Ghost of Harlan seniors smiling. But force faltered at edges. Sleepless nights, Jax scrolled Luca's Insta. Designs for refugee camps, Captions poetic. Building homes where hearts hide. A DM pinged. Proud of you, Harlan. Always was. Jax replied neutral. Thanks. Beers sometime. Neutral as truce. Elias respected distance, but courted subtle. Voss pulled funding from Earl's backers. Anonymous donation to Mia's theater fund. A note arrived, handwritten on linen stock. No pressure, just proof. Jax burned it in the sink. Flames dancing like doubts. Winter gale force. Harlan snagged a White House contract. Sustainable podiums for climate summits. Jax keynote in D.C., suit tailored sharp. Words honed lethal. America's heartland isn't hate's monopoly. It's where we replant. Roots deep, branches wide. Applause thundered. Biden clapped his shoulder. Whisper gruff. Kid, you're what we're fighting for. High faded fast. Paparazzi swarmed the airport. Tabloids twisting. Queer tycoon's secret fling with Silver Fox VC. Backlash bit. Board whispers of distraction. Investors hedging. Elias called first direct. Ignore the noise. Sus Jax. Always was. Voice cracked. Jax hung up. Chest caving. Climax crested unbidden. A nor'easter burying the city in white. Power flickered. Mia home from rehearsal. Snowbound with cocoa and rom-coms. Doorbell pierced the storm. Elias, drenched, overcoat shedding flakes like scales. Can't stay away, he admitted, breath fogging glass. Lost a deal today. Reminded me. Money's ash without you. They talked till dawn. Fire crackling in the hearth. Elias owning the shorts, the tips, the terror of real love. I was scared, he said, hands clasped like prayer. Of losing control. You? Your chaos I crave. Jax leaned in, foreheads touching. Prove it. No empires. Just us. Spring thawed walls. They dated deliberate picnics in Prospect Park. Elias learning Jax's recipes. Venison chili from Ohio hunts. Adapted vegan. Luca joined brunches, easy triangle. Friend, not threat. You're glowing. Luca teased Jax one afternoon. Sketching caricatures in a cafe. Voss tamed the beast? Jax chuckled. Nah, we tamed each other. Harlan expanded west. Pop-up in L.A. Collabs with queer designers. Mia landed chorus in Rent Revival. Her pride flag tattoo a mirror of Jax's hidden ink. But betrayal's echo lingered. A siren's call. Earl, paroled early for good behavior. Surfaced in letters. Son, I've changed. Church programs got me straight, right? Let me make amends. Jax shredded them, but Mia salvaged one. What if, Jax? Blood's blood. The what if detonated at summer solstice. A Harlan gala in the old mill. Transformed venue. Fairy lights strung like stars. Guests milled. Celebs, CEOs, drag royalty. Elias at Jax's side. Arm possessive light. Then Earl crashed the gate. Clean-shaven, suit ill-fit. Eyes wet with rehearsed ruin. Jackson, please. Security hovered. Jax waved them off. Crowd hushed. Phone sly. 5 minutes, Jax said. Leading to the cooling porch, Hudson breeze cooling tempers. Earl knelt, not dramatic, but broken. AA therapy. Pastor says forgiveness is divine. I was poison. See that now. Sobs racked him, the man who once wielded bottles like clubs. Jax's throat tightened. Scar itching phantom. You broke us. Mia hid her truth for years cause of you. Earl nodded. Wretched. I'd trade places. The empire? It's yours. I just want family. Elias tensed beside. Hand squeezing warning. Luca. Arrived late. Watched from shadows. Face unreadable. Mia stepped forward. Fierce. One chance, Dad. Screw up, your ghost. Reunion tentative. Supervised visits. Therapy circles. Earl volunteered at the mill, hauling scraps with quiet grace. Proud, he muttered once, handing Jax a lathe-turned bowl. Of the man. Love deepened in the afterglow. Elias proposed again, casual, over breakfast burritos in bed. Yes, Jax said, simple. Wedding small. Central Park. autumn blaze, Mia officiating with theater flair. Vows echoed humanistic. In fractures we find strength. In you I find home. But humanity's arc bends slow. Post-honeymoon, a Voss audit unearthed old skeletons. Elias's early deals shady as sin. Water under, Jack said, but trust tested anew. They couples counseled, emerging scarred but scarred together. Empire thrived, Harlan Global scholarships for queer rural kids. Jax wrote a memoir, Ashes to Arbor's bestseller, Bomb for the Abandoned. Luca illustrated the cover, a phoenix in grain. One dawn, Jax woke to Elias's whisper, "We're the story now, not the storm." Jack smiled, pulling him close. Storms pass, roots endure. Yet in quiet moments, Jax wondered, was forgiveness victory, or just another branch to prune? The answer, like love, grew daily, tender, tenacious, true. Years layered like annual rings, marking growth amid the grain. By 35, Jax Harlan Voss was a fixture. Panels at Davos on inclusive capitalism, his TED sequel racking 50 million views. Harlan heritage spanned coasts. Showrooms in Seattle's tech dens, Miami's art districts, each piece a testament, walnut cradles for adoptive families, oak lecterns for pride pulpits. Revenue crested $200 million, but metrics Jax chased weren't ledgers. They were letters from kids like young him, Ohio envelopes thick with "thank you for seeing us." Elias softened at edges, silver threading fuller, his fund pivoting to impact investing, queer startups, climate refugees. "You're rubbing off," he joked, nuzzling Jax's neck over morning espresso. Their Tribeca nest expanded. Nursery prepped for the Saget's due date, walls painted sky blue with constellation decals. Fatherhood loomed, terrifying tender. A legacy unbroken, not inherited. Mia flourished, 24 and fierce. Lead in a Broadway Wicked revival. Her Elphaba a queer icon gutting houses nightly. Luca, her godfather by choice, designed the sets. Emerald spires twisting like reclaimed truths. "Family's the real empire," she'd say post-curtain. Clinking glasses at family dinners. Earl at the end of the table, sober 6 years. His contributions quiet. AA meetings at the local VFW. Sponsoring loggers down on luck. Earl's redemption arc wasn't fairy tale. Slips, like the relapse after a church schism, spat him out for defending Jax at a potluck. "Faggot lover," they'd hissed. Earl punched the reverend, landed in detox. Jax visited, no judgment, just coffee black. "Falling's part of rising, Dad." Earl gripped his hand, knuckles scarred from labor and loss. "You saved me, son, after I tried drowning you." Linda faded, gentle, cancer, stage 4, diagnosed mid-rebuild. Hospice in Millersburg, the old house aired out for her. Jax read to her from his book, voice steady through ashes to Arbor's final chapters. "Proud Jackson," she whispered, frail fingers on his. "Of the roots you grew." She passed at equinox, leaves turning as she did. Funeral packed. Loggers in flannel, neighbors shamed silent. Earl eulogized raw. "She loved fierce, even when scared. Like our boy." Grief glued them tighter, Jax, Elias, Mia, Luca, Earl a constellation orbiting loss. They scattered ashes over the mill pond, ripples widening like forgiveness's wake. Climax's embers reignited on forecast. A Voss rival, bitter ex-partner named Harlan Crow. Irony's cruel jest. Leaked fabricated docs. Claims. Jax's early deals laundered Russian oligarch cash. Empire built on mob timber. SEC raid at dawn. Agents swarming the showroom. Cuffs glinting like betrayal's rerun. Elias lawyered up fierce, but headlines screamed. Queer kingpin's dark empire. World tilted. Investors bolted. Stock plummeting 40%. Protests reignited. Old foes picketing with blood money. Signs. Jax faced the press gauntlet. Face stone. Lies. We'll prove it. But nights clawed him sleepless, Elias pacing circuits. Their unborn child's ultrasound a fragile talisman on the fridge. Luca dug first, his NGO nets snared Crow's trail. Paid hacks, forged ledgers from a bankrupt shell. Mia rallied theater allies, viral campaign roots not rot exploding TikTok. Even Earl testified, voice gravel over Zoom. My boy's clean. I'd stake my sorry soul. Vindication swift. Crow arrested. Charges dropped. Harlan rebounded stronger. Boycott backlash boomeranged. Sales spiking 200%. But scars suppurated trust in systems, in self. Elias held Jax through tremors. We're unbreakable now, he murmured. Fractured gold? Kintsugi style. Baby arrived solstice, Elias Jr., EJ, eyes like Jax's, cry a clarion. Nursery vigils blurred days. Elias burping tiny fists, Jax humming Ohio lullabies. Heir to what? Jax whispered one midnight, rocking the bundle. Elias kissed his temple. To hope. Humanism's quiet crest. A Harlan Foundation launch, scholarships doled in Millersburg High Gym. 50 kids, diverse dreams, envelopes thick with futures. Jack's keynote last, EJ gurgling in a sling. I was abandoned for who I am. Built anyway. You can too. Applause swelled. Earl in the front row, tears carving canyons. Post-party. Family sprawled on the homestead porch. Rebuilt wraparound. Swings creaking nostalgic. Luca strummed guitar. Mia harmonizing folk tunes. Elias passed beers, arms slung Jax's shoulders. To empires, he toasted. Jax clinked, gaze sweeping fields fading to dusk. Nah, to us. Years spun on. EJ's first steps in the mill yard, toddling towards sawdust piles. Mia's Tony nod, speech dedicating to brothers of blood and choice. Luca partnered, wedding in the Brooklyn showroom, Jack's best man. You were my first spark, glad we kindled friendship's fire. Earl passed at 78, heart, quiet in sleep. Will. A locket with Jax's baby photo, note scrawled. You were always the strongest branch. Love, Dad. Jax wore it under shirts, talisman against tempests. At 40, Jax semi-retired, board chair only, wandering forests with EJ, teaching tree whispers. Listen, they bend, don't break. Elias joined, hand in hand, silver matching bark. Romance mellowed to embers. Anniversaries in the Hamptons still, but comfort in silences, bodies known as maps. One eve, Hudson sunset bleeding pink. Jax turned to Elias. Regrets. Elias pondered, thumb stroking the scar. None. You. Jax smiled vast. All of them led here. The empire? Sold piecemeal to stewards. Ethical co-op. Legacy locked. Jax wrote Volume 2, Roots Entwined. Tales of Mending. Bestseller again, but real wealth tallied in gatherings. Mia's twins tumbling with EJ, Luca's canvases on walls, ghosts at peace. America's sprawl, flawed, fierce, mirrored his arc. Conflicts clashed, betrayals bit, but love, humanistic insistent, prevailed. Not triumphant blaze, but steady glow. A lantern for the lost, light for the loving. In the end, Jax Harlan learned empires aren't inherited or built. They're grown one forgiving root at a time.